Good morning, fellow traders. Black Coffee Trader coming to you here this morning, Wednesday morning, February the 18th. And let's take a look at the market this morning and see what we see and what the plan is today. As far as the markets themselves, generally speaking, across the four indices, the major indices, kind of in a question area, in my opinion. So here we have on the NASDAQ, we have a little bit of a kind of a head and shoulders look forming potentially there. So that's something to always kind of keep in the back of our mind. But I think the question really is we're above yesterday's high of day. As far as the overnight, we had a nice rally to the upside. We're above yesterday's high of day. And we've just had a really nice bounce. Jumping down to the 1 minute chart, we can look at this, but we had a really nice bounce right off of that yesterday high right there. Beautiful break and retest long. Definitely a trade I would have been looking for if it would have been New York session. But in any case, nice trade. But we are getting a reaction there. And I think the question for me on the NASDAQ is, do we get above last week's Monday low, last week's Wednesday low, this early week low area last week? Can we get above that range? If we can, I think we have a nice shot at some further upside. We had a pretty aggressive move to the downside, and so typically if we can get above that, we're going to see further upside. Here's the problem. The thing to be cautious of is we're longing right into this quadruple top high that we had from last week. You're also longing into the the daily 20, the daily 50, and the daily 100 moving averages sitting right above this quadruple top high. So I think that is the question before the court this morning. The thing is, excuse me, sorry. Boy, I didn't gain a whole lot. Anyway, I've got a nasty frog in my throat this morning. But anyway, there is enough move here to be very, very worth that trade. The point I'm trying to make here is we have to be careful if this does develop and we do get longs here that you're taking profits somewhere up in here or getting cautious to watch against a rejection. Because what we could see, what we very well could see is a reclaim of this level, a move up, and then a rejection of that area. So that's just something to be cautious of. To the downside, I am not very interested at all in this area. If we lose this range this morning and we fall back to the downside, I'm not really interested in this area unless we get down below these lows that we had from, let's see, this is Friday of last week, or yesterday's lows. If we can get below there, then I think we have a shot at some downside and some pretty big moving or pretty big opportunities to the downside, I believe, if we go there. So I think really the question is what happens right here? This is what's in front of us right now. What happens here? Can we get above that? And do we have a shot at a break and retest long into these quadruple top highs from last week? So there's the thesis on the NASDAQ. Moving to ES, pretty similar. We are already above some of these highs that we had seen. I mean, we were right in these highs that we had from earlier this week. Kind of flirting with this. The question is this going to reject, or are we going to, break above this? The lows from last week, if we take the similar picture from the NASDAQ, are all the way up here. So I think on ES is something I'm looking for is if we can hold above here, maybe looking for a long up into these levels. Now also here, but that's a bad arrow. Also, here we do have the daily 20 and the daily 50 moving average, so that is something of very much of a concern. So a little bit cautious here. This is going to be a short-lived play if that happens. And then if we do get through that, I think this would be a great long. If you can get above that level with a hold, that definitely could be a really nice long on the ES. We are also longing into these quadruple top highs, kind of like we have on the NASDAQ, but we do have a little bit more movement or more room to run as far as ES goes in that regard. To the downside, the picture here is pretty similar to me. I might be interested in a long if we break this area, or a short, I should say, if we break these lows. Maybe take a short if you get a really good setup, but I am not a fan of this noise here, so that's something to just be cautious of. I think the best short would be if we get below yesterday's lows, kind of like the NASDAQ, and looking for further downside there. So that's that. Dow Jones, this is the one I'm probably the most interested today. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit so I can kind of share this. This is a major, major, major area that we have on the Dow Jones. We have multiple tests and multiple holds at this high. We did get a push through it, kind of created this upper area, and we are flirting with that. I think if we can get back above this major, major high area, coming in here around the 49,000, what is that, 900s maybe? 49.9s, yeah, basically 49.9s. If we can get above that, there's a very, very nice long opportunity to the upside there, I do believe. So that's the big, big watch for me today. We're really there. We're right at that point. The question is, you zoom in here a little bit. The question is, do we hold these highs? Do we hold this area? Can we hold this area this morning? Or are we going to dip? Now, we could also see a little dip down and then a move higher, something to be looking for as well. But I think if we can get above this area, that could set up a really, really nice long on the Dow Jones. To the downside, if we get further downside, again, I think across pretty much all the indices, if we see downside, we really have to get a bigger move before I'm going to get really, really interested. I mean, I would want us to see us lose the daily 100 and lose some of these other lows down here for further downside on the Dow Jones. Obviously, the bigger watch is, can we reclaim this area for further upside? As far as the Russell goes, very similar picture. Not that excited about the Russell. I got a pretty simple little head and shoulders look happening here. So does that continue to see further downside? We'll see. And that look is kind of across the indices this morning. But to the upside, I would really want us to get a really clean look above yesterday's high, above the Monday or the Friday high. And really, if we could get above this Friday high from last week or 2 weeks ago, if we can get above that, anything up in here, if you get a really nice setup, you could set up a pretty nice long up into these highs. To the downside, again, I really want us to lose the multiple day lows down here to really set up a short to the downside. Is something between here? Maybe. But again, you're trading in this area where we've got market consolidation, and that's just typically for my type of a strategy on a break and retest, usually not that good. If you're doing very short scalps, yes, that's a possibility. But for me, I'm really looking at this area above here, and I'm looking at this area to the downside here. And I think that's pretty much, as I just kind of ran through this, that's pretty apparent that that's what we're looking for across pretty much all the indices. There's the Russell, here's the Dow Jones. Obviously, we're not that thrilled about this, but we are looking for upside here, also looking for downside here below these lows, and that also follows suit on ES. ES, we're yeah, pretty much the same thing occurs. I mean, we're really looking for upside here. We're looking for downside here. Not that interested in this noise in the middle, and on NQ, pretty much the same thing. So, hey, there we go. That's the plan for the day. We'll see how the day unfolds. Do keep in mind we do have FOMC minutes this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Not the FOMC statement, but we do have minutes. We do have red folder event at 2. Obviously, by then, hopefully, I will be long done with trading before then. So we'll see what this market does. Maybe we just don't do much today, and maybe this is one of those days to just be careful and kind of sit it out. We shall see. But if a move sets up, we'll take it. And if it doesn't, we'll try to be patient. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following along. Thanks for supporting the channel. Have a great trading day, and I'll catch up with you on the next one. Take care, and so long.